Well, guys, let's bring you over here. Network connection's a little better. Pat Douglas, welcome. I'm gonna need a coffee or a whiskey in about half an hour if you wanted to come over. Just saying. You know the code to the garage door. You can always come in. So, this is AutoAmateur Live. For those in Europe, I do apologize that this is going to be going out late. But it just, it's the way it kind of, it's the way the dice sort of fall, the cookie crumble. I've had a full jam-packed day, and tomorrow I've got a full jam-packed day. The guy who's dropped off his car, his name is Matt, very nice chap. I'm installing this for him, this Joy Auto CarPlay device. I'm installing it for him. He needs the car back tomorrow. So, I'm here doing it live. I'm doing it tonight. But I've had so many people ask questions about this install. I've had some people that have felt a little concerned that it's complicated, and yes, it is, and that it's error-prone, and it is a little bit. But I know dozens and dozens of people now that have followed the DIY video, that have followed the Joy Auto instructions, and have been able to successfully install this. So here tonight, live on AutoAmateur, I'm gonna try and install it. In front of everybody. Pressure is on. Hello, Costas. Hello, Pat. Hello, Jeremy. My regulars are in the house. That's awesome. Let's start by taking a quick look at the equipment that we're going to be using. We'll take a look at the Joy Auto stuff itself, but also the equipment we're going to be using. So, here we go. Madness, Andy. I know, it's madness. Andy, after this, you're going to have everything you need to be able to do this live. Well, maybe not live, but you'll be able to do it yourself. All right, let's go. So, this is the Joy Auto device. There are several other variants on the market that you can try if you wish. This is the only one I've ever worked with. Out of the box, that is going to get put underneath the dashboard with some zip ties. We have a couple of different ports. We're going to be using several of them, primarily the power, the microphone, and the LCD out, which is going to project the Joy Auto into the unit. And then we've got a Wi-Fi antenna over here. And then we've got some other ports that we don't really need to care about. The other thing which people forget about a lot is on the very back of this device, we've got a number of dip switches. And these dip switches have very special functions. Dip switch it to the on position up. When you first fire up your PCM, you're going to think you've broken everything because there isn't anything other than a little plus sign in the middle of the screen, and you are going to be configuring your touchscreen. But it doesn't say that, and you only get characters in Chinese, so you think you've royally screwed your device, but you haven't. If you have a factory backup camera, you put position 8 to on. This one doesn't have a backup cam, so it's off. So there are a few other different choices here, which essentially say, I've got parking sensors or I haven't. I want the lines on my backup camera or I don't. I've got a factory backup camera or I haven't. So these dip switches are very important. Now, one thing I recommend before you're going much further, this little guy can cause a big problem at the end if you haven't installed it first. This is a little wireless. Well, it's not wireless, but it's a cable-less aux jack, which essentially convinces your car by plugging it into the aux port in the glove box that you have an additional aux. And there's something to do with ohms and resistance, which help, keep the sound sort of levels, what they are, and it all functions together. Don't ask me about the science, it just works. And I'm gonna put that in the glove box in a minute. That's the first thing I'm gonna do, because it's often the last thing that people remember and forget. We've got a little wireless antenna here that goes up. That goes onto the device. And then over here, we've got a new circuit board, which is gonna go into the PCM unit itself. It has a position for the existing ribbon cables that currently go into the back of the screen. Well, you're going to be taking those out of the screen and putting them here, and then creating a bridge and extending these ribbon cables out through these ports into the back of the screen. And then there's a little plug here for this video cable to go into the back. And it's very important that you put the video cable in. Let's see if I can get it to get in focus with these little notches pointing up and away from the circuit board. We have new ribbon cables. The connectivity is on the blue side, I think it is, or no, the connectivity is on this side. So you need to make sure that you're not putting the blue side facing forwards or backwards. I'll show you once we actually get in there, because they fit in both ways to the ports, but they only connect one way. There's only connectivity on one side. And then we have these little mounts, which are going to allow me to place the circuit board above the existing circuitry inside of the PCM. And then we've got a whole bunch of wiring harnesses. This doobry here is a 48-pin adapter. This is going to allow me to add an additional aux port into the back. Sorry, this one is going to allow me to add an additional aux port into the back of the PCM. And the one that looks just like this inside the PCM is going to go into the back of this. So this is our little bridge. This is our extender. And it also allows the integration of backup cameras, separate power, separate audio, and then also, if this has the Bose system, people also often forget to move the two orange optical fiber cables that are here. They need to get put directly into the back of this from the PCM. So if you imagine this was in the back of the PCM already, it has two orange wires. It needs to move from the back and move into here so it directly goes into the back of the PCM. I'll explain more about that later. More cables. What do we need? So that's basically it. And then let's take a look at the tools. It's relatively straightforward. I've got some trim tools to help me take off the center trim. I've got a T25 or a T20 hex, socket here to help me take out the screws that keep the PCM in place. I've got my little set of tiny screwdrivers to help me work inside the box. If I want to get heavy duty, I can use that. Otherwise, I'm just going to take it nice and slow with this. And then we've got zip ties, and this is for clipping the zip ties, super fancy stuff like that. That's essentially it. And then finally, we've got the microphone, which needs to be plugged into the Joy Auto and then routed somewhere in the cabin so that you can talk to Siri and so that you can make phone calls and receive phone calls using CarPlay if you don't want to use PCM, which is using the OEM. Whatever. If it's using the OEM, whatever. So guys, are you with me? Let's do this. I'm pretty excited, as you can tell. And it's probably a product of the fact that my youngest didn't sleep last night. I didn't get much sleep. I've had so much coffee today. But that's okay. I'm in safe hands. Or this car is in safe hands. Kinda. All right, let me just get the camera into place so you can see what's going on. And then let the fun and games begin. I'm going to need to come up with a better solution, aren't I, for this in the future. Now, I'm not going to be able to respond to comments, unfortunately, while I'm doing this job, but I'll try. I'll try my best. Let's see. How's that? Let's take it a little lower. Okay, that's probably better. How's that? That'll do. Okay, that'll do. Whoops. Still with me. Stay there. All right, guys, bear with me a second while I just get set up. Hello. Whew. Okay. First off, we're going to take off the side trim, which pops out ever so gently with one of these big fat boys. And no, not me. There we go. There's one side. And then this side. Stay with me. All right. Okay, we got our two trim pieces off, and I've got to say, this is a really nice full leather interior. Hell yeah. Okay, so let's see. What size have we got here? Yeah, that'll do. One screw. Two screws. Three. Four, last screw. Come on, you little bugger. There's always one that doesn't want to play ball. There's always one, isn't there? All right. Come on. Okay, got our four screws. This is a manual. I'm gonna put it into a gear where I'm, giving myself as much room as possible. This is a slightly tricky stage of the process. You're probably not gonna see everything, but hopefully you're gonna get to see enough. I'm gonna cover this up. I don't wanna damage the center console at all. I think I'm okay here. Now I'm gonna pull this guy out. And now basically there are just a bunch of plugs on the back to take off. So bear with me a second. We've got the main 48 pin adapter out. We've got the, I think this is satellite radio, this one at the back, yellow. Then we got a yellow and a black one over here on the back. And if anyone's ever wondering what type of head unit you have in your car, if you get this far before you start taking it apart, just double check on the back. On the side here, it says here PCM 3.1. This last one is always a pain to get out. So there we go. There's PCM 3.1 out. Now we're gonna come back and we're gonna put some more wires in here in a second. I'm gonna run the wire underneath the dash and along. Gonna make sure it all works before I start actually routing it and putting it back in. Depending on, I've only got an hour and a half tonight before I've got to put my kids to bed. So there's only so much time I can spend on this. So I'm gonna try and at least get it working in this video, and then we can go from there. So, back in neutral. Wanna make sure the ignition's off. I don't wanna waste the battery. Let's go and start taking this thing apart. Come with me, my friends. Okay, welcome to the workbench. Just move this up just a little bit. Okay, guys, hopefully you can see everything here. All right, so I'm gonna clear a bit of a space. I lied, didn't I? I said I was gonna put this in first. I'll be right back. Okay, so that's now in the aux port. I'm gonna make a little bit of room. And of course, when you're working on something like this, you want to make sure you're not going to damage anything. I'm also going to see if I can get the comments. So let's, but this is, we're back. Okay, got to try and keep my eye on this. Here's where I've taken out the plugs. And in order to do that, there are 2 screws I need to remove on top. And you're gonna wanna make sure, of course, that you've got a safe place to keep the screws. I usually just keep them on the, I usually just keep them here. So that's 2 from the top, and then 2 from the bottom. I'm going to just how quickly this takes me. I'd say I'm trying to work a little faster than I usually work, but I'm not trying to rush. You know, I'm trying to be respectful of your time. I'm trying to be respectful of my own time and my wife's time. Bedtime tonight. But you know, I also want to make sure that I do the job properly, you know? So you might notice here I'm keeping my screws, my 2 screws at the top of the mat from the top, my 2 screws from the bottom on the bottom, my 3 screws from the middle in the middle. Now I think theoretically they're all basically the same size, but I always like to try and put them back into the same holes they came out of. It's just one of those things. And some of you are going to laugh about this in a second. Let me show you. Let's take the screen off. And in order to do that, there are a couple of little guys here on the side that we need to push in, like retaining clip. And then it's the same on the other side. And sometimes this can just take a little bit of coaxing to come off, because as you start taking one side off, the other side goes back in. And then, let's see, will it come off? Yeah. Okay, so now the PCM screen is coming off, and it's being held on by 2 ribbon cables down here, if you can see that. And I'm going to use a little pair. Let's use these little, which allow me off, pull this evenly. Aha! Okay, so the screen is off. I'm now going to be putting that somewhere safe. In fact, I'm going to put it on top of my cabinet here, so I don't damage it. Okay, now we need to actually get into the unit. And that requires, you guessed it, a knife. Come on. Hello? Okay, we're back. I'm giving up with Wi-Fi. This is now purely on cell. Wi-Fi is not my friend here in the garage. So, we now need to take this apart. And it requires a little bit of finessing and finagling. So this might not be completely in shot, but essentially, you've got to just wiggle it apart enough to be able to get your hands underneath here. And honestly, this is probably the scariest part. And it's not because you're going to break it, but you kind of feel a little bit like you might. So I'm just going to put a little bit of pressure on one side to allow me to just take it in half. And be very careful when you pull it apart because there are still ribbon cables attached up here. And we don't want to detach those ribbon cables. Okay, so we're now inside the box. We're inside the belly of the beast. This circuit board here is the Cirrus XM, and this can sometimes create a little bit of a problem when you're installing the circuit board because this yellow pin sits a little high. It's not usually too much of an issue, but tonight we're going to see if it becomes an issue. Now the circuit board is going to go like this, sat on 3 mounted screws. These 2 existing ribbon cables are going to go into these 2 ports, and then the 2 new cables I've got are going to mirror them, so blue facing inwards, and go back out and connect to the screen. So let's start with the screw extenders. I'm going to just sort of lightly put them together. And then I need to actually take out the 3 screws where they currently sit. So one is down here on the base, on the very bottom of the circuit board. Aha, magnetic screws are awesome. There's one. There's another one, where is it? Over here. And then the third one is sort of behind this ribbon cable down here. And this one just needs a little bit of finesse because you're holding one half of the PCM unit while you're taking out a screw with the other. Okay, so now I'm going to put the mounts in place back where I took the screws out. And for those of you worrying, like you're inside the PCM and you know, there's a lot of circuitry in here, but there isn't too much that you actually have to touch. You know, you're really only touching these 2 ribbon cables and these 3 screws. And that's basically it. Because everything else, you know, you're putting in the new circuit board, which is net new. And then you're just closing it up again. So if you can just think through this methodically, and just make sure you don't touch anything else inside, you should be just fine. Doing this one-handed as well. A little tricky, but you know, it's all right. Okay, so let's now put the circuit board in. Da-da-da. So it's going to sit like this. So I'm going to put 1 screw in first. And I'm going to keep all the screws a little loose until it's actually seated properly. And I know that it's, you know, it's going to be secured in place. So I'm going to start over here with this corner. Literally just a couple of screw turns. Same for this one. And same for the other. which of course I'm gonna have to do one-handed again because it's underneath the master ribbon cable. Okay, so that circuit board is now nice and secure. It's not in too tight. It's not going to roll around and rattle. Okay, I'm now going to take care of the circuit, the ribbon cables. So, because they've been in one position behind the screen, they've been a little bit bent out of place, but they're still usable. And again, remember, we're going to create a mirror image here. And like, take notes. This is where a lot of people go wrong because they install these new ribbon cables the wrong way around. So you need to install them blue facing blue. And same for the big one at the back, blue facing blue. And they also need to be fit square and firmly. So that, I think that one's got a good connection. If for some reason we're not getting video or we're not getting audio inside the cabin, chances are it's because some of these ribbon connections have not been put in properly, have not been made properly. Like that one doesn't really want to go in actually. Why is that? Okay. Nope, that's not in properly. One side is slightly higher than the other. Okay, that's probably good enough for a connection. Yeah, that's probably good enough for a connection. Now I'm just gonna move the camera so I can get to this other side. Hopefully you guys can still see. I'm going to start with the big guy first. Let's maybe just move this around a little bit. Yeah, you can still see, hopefully. So I'm going to do the big one first. Blue facing blue. Okay, that feels like a nice solid square connection. And I'm going to put this down through this little gap because it's going to go out to the screen. And I also want it out of the way for a second. Here's the next one. Again, blue facing blue. Okay, that's a solid connection. I think that one's a good enough connection. If this doesn't work, I've got a feeling this one might not be in properly, but I'm going to give that a go. I think that's okay. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, so there the ribbon cable's done. We're almost there and ready to put it back into the car. So next up is this video cable. You need to make sure that it's being installed with the little pins upright, and it's going to go into the circuit board here. But first you need to get it into the PCM. And in order to do that, we're going to just remove a little part of the rear here and feed the wire through. Is a little like manhole cover, if you will, that just sort of sits on the back of the device here and holds the yellow plug for the Sirius XM radio in place. And we're going to essentially break through that. And again, wanting to make sure that this connection is firm and tight with the little metal pins up. That's slotted into place nicely. And you're going to want to maximize the length of this cable. So without pulling it out of place, just pull it through so you've got as much cable out of the unit as possible. And then another little tiny fiddly part is getting this back on. And because there's a fabric cable sticking in the way, this can just take a few seconds to get right. And it's not a big deal if it doesn't quite sit flush, but you do just need to get it in place enough so that you can put the screw in. This is one area where a little bit of force is sometimes needed just to get the screw to get into place. Here we go. Okay, that's good enough. So now we've got this into place. This wire is going to go in the back. This is going to go into the Joy Auto device. And then we're almost away. So now I just need to put the device back together. Okay, guys, hopefully you can still see. Okay. All those connections are still good. Oh, not quite. Okay, so I'm going to put the 3 screws on the back end first. Is that back in properly? Not quite. Almost. Oh. There you go. It's got a couple of tabs there that these guys need to slide into. There we go. Okay, winner. Now I can put these 3 screws back in the back. I have to say, I bought this a little electrician's screwdriver set off Amazon for about 20 bucks, and it's been absolutely awesome. Whether it was the sports chrono or the instrument cluster or this Apple CarPlay job, it's really come in handy. Okay, so that's 2 at the back. Sorry, the 3 at the back. Now I've got to reconnect the screen, and I will be doing it this way around, I think. I think that's the easiest way to do it. Let me just double check. Getting the ribbon cables installed is the first job. So I'm going to just do that first and then put the screen back together. So sorry if my hands are getting in the way here. This is where the tweezers are going to come in handy as well. Okay, that's a nice solid connection. And then for the smaller blue one, same thing, another. Yeah, is that a nice, is that solid enough? Let's maybe just try that one again. This smaller one is always just slightly awkward compared to the big one. Okay, that's a nice connection. All right, now put the screen back on. Now you've got several things sort of working against you here. You've got the little clips on the side. You've got 3 clips on the back, which need to sort of hook in. And then you've got this piece of circuitry here, which also needs to fit in. So it all kind of needs to go together perfectly, even though it is a little bit awkward. So I'm going to try and feed some of the cable back in. And I apologize if this view isn't perfect, but I'm just trying to get the job done. Let's do that. Trying to feed the cables back inside the body of the shell a little bit to free up a bit of room here. Not quite in. Take it from this way first. This is another just little tricky part of the job. As I say, you've got several different catches all sort of working against you at the same time. And these need to be hooked on at the top. And then, there we go. Okay, it's back in. So let's get the 2 screws in on the top, the 2 screws on the bottom, and then we're good to start putting it back in the car. Almost there. Okay, that's the unit done. Now let's go and start putting the wires into the car. Let's see, how is that view? Now, is that okay? Can you guys see? Yeah, that should do. Okay, let's do that. All right. Grandad James needs something soft to kneel on. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. I forgot to put my mic on today, so I'm talking directly into the camera. But what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna sort of situate all the wiring first, which is relatively straightforward if you're lucky. It's a little bit tricky if you don't quite thread it through properly, but I have got a snake here if I need it. So I'm just gonna prepare the wires first. Here's part of the wiring harness. So this is gonna go into the back of the box. This is gonna go into the back of this wiring harness here, which is gonna stay inside the console. There are inputs for 2 backup cameras. So you can have a backup cam and a forward cam powered off the Joy Auto device, so you don't need to tap the front or the rear lights. And you can put those in later at any time. There's an audio cable, a couple of power wires, and that's about it. So I'm gonna wire up the audio cable as well. Okay, and then, wow, they've really clipped this together well. Okay, and this is the fuse. So this is gonna go through there as well, and then down to the fuse box. Okay, so they're all together. And these are all the cables that need to come through. I need some blue tape. I'll be right back. Now, these cables are actually stiff enough that they kind of act like their own snake. So as long as you're careful, you shouldn't have any issue sort of feeding them through. So what I'm gonna try and do just for starters is feed the wire down through here and pull it out to the bottom of the steering column. Now, eventually this is gonna be zip tied underneath to the top left of the driver's the clutch pedal sort of up here around the corner. But just to make sure it works, and for the purposes of time, I'm just gonna have the box on the floor here for now and have the wires dangling down here. I just wanna make sure everything works. And once it works, I can start putting everything back together. Now, I've been able to grab it on the other side. I just need to sort of feed it through. Without anything getting disconnected. Okay. Almost there. Okay. It's got the audio plug through. Great, I've got everything through successfully. Okay, I'm gonna reset so you can get to see what I'm doing now. question is, where did I put the Joy Auto box? Aha! Okay, so here's the Joy Auto box. The first thing I'm going to do is just put the Wi-Fi connector on. And I don't want it to get in the way of this USB port, which you can use if you want to do like firmware updates or you want a sort of additional input for like media on a hard drive. I don't right now, so I'm just going to leave that open. But still, I don't want the Wi-Fi antenna to be in the way. So that's on nice and tight. Now I've got a microphone that needs to go in, which I'll do, and then the video wire is last, but I can't put that in until I have the Joy Auto unit with me because it's now attached to the circuit board. So let's put the wires in that we can, which is really, at this stage, just the power harness. Like that. And then for the fuse, you need to make sure that you're using a switched fuse slot, and your user manual should show you which one. I use the one essentially that's on the bottom left. You've got a row of fuses on the bottom and there's one open on the left hand side at the bottom. That one is switched. The others you need to figure out for yourself, but if you put them in one that isn't switched, your Joy Auto unit's going to stay on when you turn your car off, and you're going to come back in the morning and wonder why your battery's dead. So I'm just making sure the Joy Auto box is now getting power. The blue light isn't on, so I think I might not have got the fuse in properly. Not yet. Okay, no power to the Joy Auto box yet. Why? I'll figure that out in a minute. Okay. Well, I'm gonna have to figure out that power issue in a minute. Let's get the box in. Okay. Now, luckily, I've got another Joy Auto box. So if it's an issue with the box, I'll be able to find out. But now I've got to get the LCD wire down through here with the rest of them. Oh, there it is. Okay, that's the LCD wire. Now, I need to see if we have actually, there's one little just bit of a complication. Let me give that some extra space around there. Getting wires mixed up here. Okay, all right, where are we? We've got the power in, we've got the audio line connected. This is ready to go in the back of the PCM. What we haven't done yet is reroute these orange audio cables here. So this is going to require a little flathead screwdriver, push down the bottom and forward, I think it is, just to release the clips. Which way was it? Come on, baby. Just needs a little bit of coaxing out. Here we go. Got them. And then these are going to go directly into the back of the other, but let's connect this one up first. So this is putting the factory wiring harness into the back of the Joy Auto connector. And it just requires a little bit of finesse with the clip, the way it's designed. Which way am I going? Upside down. Like that. That snaps into place nicely. And then the fiber optic wires here are going to go into the exact same place in the back of this wiring harness as they were a second ago. And you can just hear them clip into place. So this is where the fun and games begin. I want to pull the fuse wire through just a little more. I want to pull the power wire through just a little more, because there isn't a lot of space back here. You want to make sure you've got enough space, as much as possible, to put the PCM back in. Now it's just a question of wiring up the PCM. So we've got these three guys, which are going to go into the left-hand side, and then we should have a yellow and a black. Where's the black? Well, here's the yellow. Is there another one? Where are you hiding? I'm sure there's another one. It's hiding somewhere. Oh, here we go. Is that it? Okay, that's into the back of there. No, that might be it. Okay. All right, so let's try and get all of this back in. There must be another black one there somewhere. Where are you? Where are you hiding? There you are. There it is. I knew there was another one. Okay, so let's go. Black in, yellow, Sirius XM in. I'm now going to do the big fat wiring harness. This is also another point where a lot of people go wrong because you don't think it goes in as far as it actually does. So I need to push it in as far as I can first. Give me a sec. And actually, just rest this in here. That's better. All right, almost there. It goes in like ½ an inch, and then you just get an extra little bit of give, and you push it, and it goes in another ½ inch. And now you can push up the safety clip that keeps it all together, and that is now in nice and flush. And we should be getting power now. Yeah, so we're getting power to the PCM. I just need to put back these other 3 cables. We've got a blue, we've got a yellow, and a black. It's where we start running out of space quickly, unfortunately, but it is what it is. So there's the black. There's the yellow. It's for the Sirius. Okay. Now I'm just going to sit this in here without reinstalling it fully just yet, because I want to make sure everything's working. So I'm just going to sit it in there like that for now. Okay, so the good news is that we've got the PCM sound and we've got the PCM video working just fine. Now we need to get the Joy Auto working. So I've got to plug in the video cable, LCD in. I also need to plug in the microphone just so that we can test Siri, but we can reinstall this again later and actually put it, somewhere you'd actually want to have it. Now let's see if we're getting power. Aha! We're now getting power to the Joy Auto, which is great news. This little blue light is coming on. So now let's try and reset the camera so you can see what's going on. It's hot work in here tonight, guys. And not so much hot. Let's just say it's quite, for an anxious person doing a job like this in front of a live audience, yeah, feeling a little anxious right now. But thanks for sticking with me. Let's get in the car now and try and get Joy Auto configured. Hopefully we're gonna have sound. I'm gonna just flip this around. There we go. All right, hang on, let's get in. Okay, so there's the Joy Auto unit on the floor. It's ultimately going to go underneath the area there. Now let's take a look at the unit itself. Now I'm not going to be pairing it with the iPhone I'm using to record this. What I am going to do is try and pair it with my backup device, which I use to look at comments on YouTube. So hang on a sec. Let's start with just seeing if we can see the Joy Auto screen. So we're on nav. Yeah, baby. So this is the Joy Auto setup screen. I'm going to do a couple of things now. First, I'm going to go into setup, and you can easily use touchscreen, or you can just, use the right-hand knob here to navigate around. I'm going to go to Bluetooth. I'm going to make sure that visibility is on and Bluetooth is on, of course. The Bluetooth network name is Joy Auto. Paired devices. Looks like a test device from the factory is still connected here, because all of these are tested, of course, before they get shipped out. So we're going to discover, and on my phone, Face ID. Sweaty James doesn't work. Here we go. Let's go to Bluetooth. See if I can find Joy Auto. I'm sorry, this is not really in. Okay, here we go. Joy Auto. Now, it's really important that you stay on this Bluetooth menu. It's not letting me connect. Why isn't it letting me connect? Hang on, let's hit search. Am I discoverable? Joy Auto. It is, as you're going, oh, there we go, James's iPhone XS. So at this stage, I want to pair, yes. At this stage, it's really important to stay on your Bluetooth menu, because you're going to be given some options in a second, which are very difficult to have your iPhone present back if you don't catch them the first time. Like, do you want to use this device as CarPlay? You've got to hit that on your iPhone. Otherwise, this system isn't going to automatically connect to your iPhone. It's a bit weird. Yeah, pair, please. All right, let's try again. Here we go, pair request. So I'm pairing with the pair request. I'm going to allow it to sync my favorite contacts. Here's the most important part. Wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. In a second, it's going to say, do I want to use this ID Core as CarPlay? And I'm going to say, hell yes. Use this as CarPlay. So now we're paired. And boom! CarPlay's working, baby. Ha! Should we listen to Frozen? I was listening to this with my kids earlier. Or should we listen to a block rocking beat? Oh. I forgot another step. We need to switch to aux.
It's on my website.
Ah! Why isn't it working? Why isn't it working? Hang on.
Email.
Why isn't it working? Let me think. I think it might be because, let me just turn off Bluetooth. Let me turn off Wi-Fi. Okay, it might be because I missed the setup configuration here, so let's see. Got Bluetooth there. Let's go to this Bluetooth menu. Oh, there we go. On. Front view, DVR, CarPlay. Yeah, we're all good there. Okay, let's go back to Bluetooth. Paired devices. James's iPhone XS. Okay, let's go. Let's see if we can get everything connected back again. So let's do Bluetooth on. It's going to pick up Joy Auto. And this is sort of typically the amount of time that it takes to auto connect when you start up the car for the first time. So it's not actually that long, right? It's, 5-6 seconds. Let's hope we got a new input. Oh, no, I can't. Why isn't that showing me an input?
Shocked. I was surprised that Frank even knew who I was or that my site even existed. So on one level, I was flattered. On another level, Frank was a direct competitor.
Okay. Well, you know, live demonstrations, they don't always work first time. But at least we know we got the video, and I've got audio to the PCM, so I know that I'm going to get audio from the PCM box. What I just need to do after I'm finished here is just to figure out how to turn on the aux input. It's somewhere here in settings, and I'm now under pressure, and I can't remember how to do it. Where are we? Car. Oh, is it option? Nope. Car. Nope. Where's back? It's in here somewhere. There's an option to turn on the aux, and I now, just for the sake of it, I can't remember where it is. Here we go. Oh no, it's not. Is it showing? It's not showing the aux. Yeah, I just need to figure out how to turn it on. Sorry guys, bit of a letdown there. But basically, CarPlay's working. I just need to figure out how to turn. In fact, let me just see. Is this plugged in? This is the thing I was talking about earlier. I apologize because the light is a little. To here, which it is. So.
Navigation is not active.
Yeah. Well, guys, I was almost there. I'm now running out of time. Ah! Come on, you bugger. Aha, set media aux. Aux! Come on, let's see if that works now. PCM, okay, great, let's go. Come on, I want to listen to my BIG.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Okay, guys, that is Joy Auto installed in the 991.1. Essentially, the process is exactly the same if you're going to install a CDR31 or if you're going to do PCM 4.0. This is PCM 3.1. So there are options out there for pretty much all of the Porsche models. 991s, Caymans, Boxsters, Macans, Panameras, Cayennes. If you have PCM 3.0, 3.1, or 4.0, or you even have CDR31, you too can have Joy Auto and have wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. And it shouldn't take you more than about an hour and a half to do. So how are we doing? 72 minutes. I've been spending a little time talking instead of working, but we're essentially there now. I now need to go in and do my fatherly duties for the evening. So I'm going to be finishing up the next part of the job off camera, I'm afraid. But let me just show you what's left to do. Essentially, I've just got to collect those wires and push them underneath the steering column. I've got to just use some zip ties and connect this up underneath the driver's seat. And then I just need to screw the PCM back into place and put the side panels on. That's it. That is it. Whew. Feeling pretty good. I've got to say, I'm feeling pretty good. So let's see if there are any questions. Alberto, does Joy Auto Box get hot when it's on? No, no, not too hot at all. I mean, no hotter than your cell phone when you're using it, to surf the web a lot. There has been some anecdotal sort of feedback that the PCM can overheat, and that happens if you haven't installed the circuit board correctly, and you've left that sort of like woolen wire sat in between the CD player and the top of the circuit board. So as long as you're not making sure you're not putting that, extra little bit of fabric in between bits of circuitry inside your PCM, you're fine. It's really not going to overheat. Any other questions before we call it a day? Going to see if I can see any of the, what can I see? I can't see any of the chat, any of the previous chat, but if you have any questions quickly, I'm more than happy to take them. But that's it. Hopefully Matt is going to be a happy customer, a happy camper. And let's just take a quick look around his car. It is beautiful. So here we go. He has a Carrera S. He's got the sports seats. He's got the S wheels. He's got the regular, I think that's a factory regular front lip. Look at those sports seats though. They're absolutely gorgeous. And of course, it's the S, and it's a manual. The manual transmission on these 991s is just incredible. They are just like butter. They are really cool. Okay, guys, that's it for now. I'm going to go finish my evening, then come back here a little later after the kids have gone to bed and just put everything back together. Thanks for sticking with me. Hopefully you found this helpful. As you go through this installation, there'll be a couple of those little gotchas that get you, and you'll think that you're going crazy. You'll think that the unit's not working. And just get in touch with me, and hopefully I can help you fix it. contact@autoamateur.com. Hit me up in the comments here, or hit me up on Instagram @auto.amateur. That's it. Peace, guys. See you.